I and Robin have been married for 6 years. Originally, she was a privileged young lady. But she unexpectedly fell on hard times. I never left her side. Finally, her star prince became famous overnight. The genius painter returned to the peak. When reporters asked who the man in the painting was, she smiled very gently. He is the greatest love of my life. And on that very day, I received her divorce papers. The genius painter Robin brought back her star prince, returning to the peak after many years. At the art exhibition, all her works were sold at high prices. Except for the most notable piece, the prince. It was a lifelike oil painting. Under the gentle moonlight, the lake surface shimmered. The young man in white stood against the wind, holding fresh flowers in his hand, smiling captivatingly. She said this work was not for sale. Not even for a king's ransom. When reporters asked who the man in the painting was, Robin smiled very gently. He is the greatest love of my life. That day, I received the divorce papers sent by Robin. The money in the house belonged to me. She left empty-handed. I watched the livestream video online and called her. Congratulations, the exhibition was very successful. Her voice was cold. It has nothing to do with you. How can it have nothing to do with me? I raised my voice to question. Didn't you want to leave empty-handed? The income from the art exhibition is also marital property. We should calculate a bit. A cold snort came from the other end of the line. Rorinoa Zorro. You really are a money grubber. I sneered. Money is more reliable than people. She was silent for a moment. I will have the lawyer send you a new letter tomorrow. I agreed decisively. Fine. From now on, all ties are broken. We are no longer related. Before she could finish, I hung up the phone. As if listening for one more second would be a waste. It's hard to imagine. 4 months ago, I was still praying to walk hand in hand with her until the end of time. That day was our 6th wedding anniversary. On Valentine's Day, I secretly flew back from France, wanting to surprise Robin. When I arrived below the apartment building, I saw a young man carrying luggage, standing alone in the snow. His hands were freezing, but his voice when making a phone call was very cheerful. Guess where I am? The person on the other end of the line must have said something. The young man's eyes softened, and he spoke gently. I miss you. So I came to see you. I recalled the time when Robin and I were in a long-distance relationship during college. When the longing became unbearable, we would also do the same. Buy a ticket and rush to each other without hesitation. Touched by this scene, I took out my phone, intending to call Robin. The next moment, I saw her walking out from the stairs. She ran straight toward the young man. Hugging him tightly, she embraced him firmly, as if welcoming a rare treasure. They kissed passionately, a long kiss. In the silent snow, I stood rooted to the spot, watching their ardent love. When Robin raised her head, she finally noticed me standing not far away. I carried my luggage and advanced with difficulty. Just a few steps, but separated by thousands of mountains and rivers. Her first reaction was to stand in front of the other person to protect him. The young man was a bit confused, leaning down and whispering into her ear. Who is he? For a moment, I didn't know what expression to wear. Standing still in front of them, I said flatly, I am her husband. Hearing this, the young man quickly stepped in front of Robin, adopting a protective stance. This is my fault. Don't blame her. I chuckled softly, looking at the flustered woman behind him. Aren't you going to say anything? Robin pursed her lips, her eyes sinking, as if she had made a certain decision. She stepped forward to stand beside the young man, holding his hand, fingers tightly intertwined. It is as you see. Perhaps the snow and wind were too strong. My mind was frozen and numb. No questioning. No arguing. I quietly turned around and went home. Robin did not follow. The balcony window at home was wide open, the cold wind whistling inside. I could even imagine Robin's astonished yet joyful expression when she received the call, opening the window to see the young man standing quietly downstairs. The easel nearby hadn't been put away. The unfinished work on the canvas caught my eye. The main character was clearly the young man from just now. He held roses, his clothes slightly fluttering in the wind, with a bashful look of meeting a lover on his face. Robin used to paint me with such dedication before. She and I met at the age of 16 in the high school courtyard. At that time, she was very popular. A rich young lady, the campus beauty, full of halos. I was from the countryside. Worlds apart. Originally with no overlap. But by chance, I became her deskmate. My English wasn't good. And my Mandarin carried a local accent. Often mocked by classmates. She defended me. And also patiently taught me. The girl always had a smile when she spoke. A slight smile was as brilliant as 1,000 blooming flowers. I had a crush on her for 3 years. Not daring to dream that she also liked me. After the college entrance exam, she did not choose an economic school as everyone predicted, but chose an art school instead. She said painting was her lifelong dream. Her family was also very supportive. She had the capital to be willful. But I didn't. With my scores at that time, the best choice was a school in the south, thousands of miles away from her. That summer vacation, she came to my small village for inspiration for her paintings, asking me to be her model. We admired paintings together on the hillside. Birds in the forest. Clouds in the sky. On the last day, my mother offered her homemade plum wine to taste. I couldn't stop it. Robin drank 1 glass and was so drunk she couldn't tell directions. She fell into my arms. Her face flushed, speaking intoxicated words. Roranoa Zoro. I like you. I helped her pack her belongings, discovering that her words were all about me. I and Robin have been married for 6 years. Originally, she was a privileged young lady, but unexpectedly fell on hard times. I never left her side. Finally, her star prince became famous overnight. The genius painter returned to the peak. When reporters asked who the man in the painting was, she smiled very gently. He is the greatest love of my life. And on that very day, I received her divorce papers. The genius painter Robin brought back her star prince, returning to the peak after many years. At the art exhibition, all her works were sold at high prices, except for the most notable piece, the prince. It was a lifelike oil painting. Under the gentle moonlight, the lake surface shimmered. The young man in white stood against the wind, holding fresh flowers in his hand, smiling captivatingly. She said this work was not for sale, not even for a king's ransom. When reporters asked who the man in the painting was, Robin smiled very gently. He is the greatest love of my life. That day, I received the divorce papers sent by Robin. The money in the house belonged to me. She left empty-handed. I watched the livestream video online and called her. Congratulations, the exhibition was very successful. Her voice was cold. It has nothing to do with you. How can it have nothing to do with me? I raised my voice to question. Didn't you want to leave empty-handed? The income from the art exhibition is also marital property. We should calculate a bit. A cold snort came from the other end of the line. Roranoa Zoro. You really are a money grubber. I sneered. Money is more reliable than people. She was silent for a moment. I will have the lawyer send you a new letter tomorrow. I agreed decisively. Fine. From now on, all ties are broken. We are no longer related. Before she could finish, I hung up the phone. As if listening for one more second would be a waste. It's hard to imagine. 4 months ago, I was still praying to walk hand in hand with her until the end of time. That day was our 6th wedding anniversary. On Valentine's Day, I secretly flew back from France, wanting to surprise Robin. When I arrived below the apartment building, I saw a young man carrying luggage, standing alone in the snow. His hands were freezing, but his voice when making a phone call was very cheerful. Guess where I am? The person on the other end of the line must have said something. The young man's eyes softened, and he spoke gently. I miss you. So I came to see you. I recalled the time when Robin and I were in a long-distance relationship during college. When the longing became unbearable, we would also do the same. Buy a ticket and rush to each other without hesitation. Touched by this scene, I took out my phone, intending to call Robin. The next moment, I saw her walking out from the stairs. She ran straight toward the young man. Hugging him tightly, she embraced him firmly, as if welcoming a rare treasure. They kissed passionately, a long kiss. In the silent snow, I stood rooted to the spot, watching their ardent love. When Robin raised her head, she finally noticed me standing not far away. I carried my luggage and advanced with difficulty. Just a few steps. But separated by thousands of mountains and rivers. Her first reaction was to stand in front of the other person to protect him. The young man was a bit confused. Leaning down and whispering into her ear. Who is he? For a moment, I didn't know what expression to wear. Standing still in front of them, I said flatly, I am her husband. Hearing this, the young man quickly stepped in front of Robin, adopting a protective stance. This is my fault. Don't blame her. I chuckled softly, looking at the flustered woman behind him. Aren't you going to say anything? Robin pursed her lips, her eyes sinking, as if she had made a certain decision. She stepped forward to stand beside the young man, holding his hand, fingers tightly intertwined. It is as you see. Perhaps the snow and wind were too strong. My mind was frozen and numb. No questioning. No arguing. I quietly turned around and went home. Robin did not follow. The balcony window at home was wide open. The cold wind whistling inside. I could even imagine Robin's astonished yet joyful expression when she received the call. Opening the window to see the young man standing quietly downstairs. The easel nearby hadn't been put away. The unfinished work on the canvas caught my eye. The main character was clearly the young man from just now. He held roses, his clothes slightly fluttering in the wind, with a bashful look of meeting a lover on his face. Robin used to paint me with such dedication before. She and I met at the age of 16 in the high school courtyard. At that time, she was very popular. A rich young lady, the campus beauty, full of halos. I was from the countryside. Worlds apart. Originally with no overlap. But by chance, I became her deskmate. My English wasn't good. And my Mandarin carried a local accent. Often mocked by classmates. She defended me. And also patiently taught me. The girl always had a smile when she spoke. A slight smile was as brilliant as 1,000 blooming flowers. I had a crush on her for 3 years. Not daring to dream that she also liked me. After the college entrance exam, she did not choose an economics school as everyone predicted, but chose an art school instead. She said painting was her lifelong dream. Her family was also very supportive. She had the capital to be willful. But I didn't. With my scores at that time, the best choice was a school in the south, thousands of miles away from her. That summer vacation, she came to my small village for inspiration for her paintings, asking me to be her model. We admired paintings together on the hillside. Birds in the forest. Clouds in the sky. On the last day, my mother offered her homemade plum wine to taste. I couldn't stop it. Robin drank 1 glass and was so drunk she couldn't tell directions. She fell into my arms. Her face flushed, speaking intoxicated words. Roranoa Zoro. I like you. I helped her pack her belongings. Discovering that her words were all about me, I took her to the train station. Walking very slowly, I really wanted to ask her if what she said last night counted. Finally, I couldn't help but speak. Robin, is it too late if I confess my feelings now? She looked at me, so happy she was almost crying. It's not too late. As long as it's you. It's never too late. We fell in love. 4 years of long-distance relationship in college. I gave her enough love and a sense of security. So she clearly knew. She was someone specially loved. She often joked without restraint. Roranoa Zoro. You love me so much. I indulged her in her pouting. Waited for her to have enough. And gently kissed her. From age 18 to 28. We loved each other for 10 years. Countless past days flashed through my mind. The suppressed emotions finally erupted. I frantically tore the painting to shreds. I sat alone on the sofa until morning. When Robin returned, she carried a strange scent. Like the body wash from a hotel. She saw me. With a hint of guilt in her eyes. I'm sorry. My eyes were red. My voice was hoarse as soon as I spoke. Since when? Robin very frankly told me about their past. The young man's name is Trafalgar Law. A 4th-year art student. And also a painter. She met him last year when she returned to her alma mater for the founding anniversary. He admired Robin's talent. And was her loyal and fervent fan. Their souls resonated. Often reminiscing about Van Gogh under the starry sky together. And chatting about Monet's water lilies by the lake. She said they were rare soulmates. And also true lovers. We had been together for 10 years. Which was less than their 10 months of acquaintance. When Robin mentioned him, her eyes were gentle. Her expression tender. She emphasized many times, I truly love him. I was almost driven mad. He is a college student. Interfering in someone else's marriage. How can he be a good person? Isn't it for the money? Robin looked at me. Her eyes gradually turning cold. Rorinoa Zoro, he is not like you. Who only sees money. Her words stabbed deep into me. Robin is an innate romantic. Who has always regarded money as dirt. In college, she was already a well-known painter. Many people offered large sums to buy her paintings. But she always refused. Her paintings have always only been given to those with whom she had a connection. But man proposes, God disposes. The year she graduated, her family went bankrupt. Her parents were chased by creditors and got into a car accident. Both passed away. She was blocked at home by creditors. I secretly climbed over the wall to find her, hugging her and saying, Robin, marry me. I have no status or position. No millions in fortune. But I have an unchanging, sincere heart. I had asked a lawyer. Children are not responsible for their parents' debts. But the opposing party was numerous and powerful. And the constant harassment was enough to destroy Robin's life. With my mother's consent, I withdrew all the savings in my family, raised a sum of money to negotiate, and helped Robin pay off the debt at the lowest price. After we got married, our life was very difficult. The rented house was dilapidated. When it rained, it became a water gutter. In winter, strong winds blew in, making it too cold to sleep. We hugged each other tightly and talked through the night. Robin tried to find the people who once wanted to buy her paintings, but only received humiliation. She had been too high and mighty before and offended others. Now that she needed money, she was rejected everywhere. I was heartbroken, and didn't allow her to go out to sell paintings anymore. To make her life a little easier, I worked 3 jobs a day to earn $100, and spent $99 on her. Once I was anemic, temporarily losing my eyesight for a few minutes. She clumsily took care of me, her voice trembling as she called my name. She cried constantly in front of me. If I hadn't married you, I would regret it for the rest of my life. But marrying you has implicated you. That only made me feel more desperate. I scolded her for being silly. I never felt she was a burden. At that time, I felt very happy. Let's get a divorce. Robin's single sentence pulled me back to reality. Her attitude was very firm, saying, I can agree to whatever you want. My heart constricted. Don't you know what I want? She didn't understand, only saying, just name your conditions. I laughed out loud. You can give up everything for him? Robin lowered her eyes, dropping a bombshell. Rorinoa Zoro. I'm pregnant with his child. My heart shattered into pieces. I remembered we once had a child too. In the 2nd year of our marriage, Robin got pregnant. I was overjoyed. But she secretly had an abortion without telling me. With tear-filled eyes, she told me, Rorinoa Zoro, our conditions fundamentally cannot afford a child. Don't let the child come to this world to suffer. Robin told me many times. I'm sorry. I held her, trying to force out a comforting smile. It's okay. We'll have a child later. She held me very tightly that day, constantly repeating in my ear, I love you. This sentence was like a curse. In those days when we had nothing, it tied our hearts together. From then on, I worked even more desperately. I was very good at reading people, and gradually climbed the ladder at work. My boss was in the import and export business, often needing to entertain clients. I was a good drinker, so he liked to bring me along, and also gave me extra bonuses. Every day I came home, I would be dizzy from vomiting. Robin would stay by my side all night, taking careful care of me. Robin always said, don't ruin your health for a little money. I didn't mind. We must think long-term. Gradually, I accumulated quite a few connections. Then I started my own wine business. Every day I was traveling for business, entertaining clients, busy from morning till night. Robin said again, enough money is enough. Don't push yourself so hard. But I had 2 wishes that I had to fulfill. I always believed that Robin's future would be a vast sea of stars. I hoped she could paint as she wished, without having to give up her lifelong beloved dream. Because of life's trivialities, I also hoped that the child who was given up could return to us soon. God helps those who help themselves. Our life was indeed getting better bit by bit. In the 5th year of our marriage, we had a house and savings. I finally mustered the courage to suggest, "Wife, let's have a baby." Unexpectedly, she was not very enthusiastic, only saying, "Rorinoa Zoro, now is not the time." She told me she was in a slump and hadn't painted a piece she was satisfied with for a long time. I tried to comfort her. "Your paintings are wonderful. My friends all love them. Boss Usopp is moving into a new house next month, and even said he wanted to buy your painting for decoration." Robin pouted. "How can those vulgar people understand art?" I was stunned. Realizing her gaffe, Robin immediately apologized and explained that she didn't look down on business people, just that she hoped to receive recognition from more professional people. She buried her head in my shoulder, whispering, "I'm just losing confidence more and more." Perhaps at this point, our relationship had already fractured. But I was too busy, not paying much attention to her changes. Not long after, Robin's condition gradually improved. A smile often appeared on her face. I thought she had overcome her slump, but I didn't expect her heart had found a new harbor. The young man she loved was in his prime. Suddenly, age turned into worldly dust. He would comment on her paintings as spring flowers, summer rain, autumn wind, winter snow, being the most beautiful existence in the world. As for me, a businessman, full of the smell of money, I couldn't create resonance with her. "Rorinoa Zoro, I have wronged you." Robin's voice echoed in my ear. I was silent for a long time. As long as the time we had spent together. In the end, I was still unwilling. "I won't divorce you," I heard myself say. Robin replied coldly, "That's not up to you." In that moment, I heard the sound of love dying. When Robin and I were at our most tense, my mother fell ill and was hospitalized. The doctor said it was terminal cancer. My father passed away early, and my mother suffered all her life. When I got married, I couldn't even take care of myself. So she insisted on staying alone in the countryside, not wanting to bother us. Later, when the economic conditions got better, I didn't have time to spend with her. I was very remorseful, having never let my mother enjoy a single day of comfort in this life. She lay in the hospital bed, thin as a rail, asking me, "Where is Robin?" I forced myself to be calm and answered her cheerfully, "She's very busy lately. She has an art exhibition to prepare for." I told my mother that Robin was highly praised by the master painter of the century, Tom, and was about to succeed. She smiled very contentedly. "Robin has finally achieved her wish. Your lives will definitely get better and better in the future. I can rest assured now." I fabricated an excuse and ran out of the hospital room, tears streaming down my face. God truly enjoyed playing tricks on me. Not long after our argument, Robin received news from France. The master painter Tom, who had been in seclusion for a long time, suddenly expressed interest in her paintings, wanting to meet Robin once. A good horse meets its. The two talked very well. Feeling they met too late, Robin regarded that young man as a lucky star. She said he helped her find the initial starting point of painting again, which led to this opportunity. Robin wouldn't know. That was the opportunity I had tried my best to secure for her. And now, it was merely the wedding dress was sewn for someone else. I washed my face and returned to the ward. My mother suddenly said she wanted to see Robin. I couldn't refuse. In the end, I had to proactively contact her. Perhaps it was pride acting up. I didn't want to show weakness in front of her. The moment I spoke, it was in a negotiating tone. "Robin, let's make a deal. I agree to divorce. You play a scene with me." She agreed decisively. It was clearly the answer I wanted. But my heart began to twist. Disappointment, anger, sadness, negative emotions like thousands of venomous insects devoured me bit by bit. I thought perhaps I was going insane. Robin hadn't visited for half a month. She was increasingly elegant, radiantly beautiful. She must be living very well. We each composed our expressions and pretended to be intimate as we pushed the door into the ward. My mother lay in the hospital bed, her breath shallow. Seeing us, her cloudy eyes brightened for a moment. She struggled to sit up to talk to us. She instructed me to cherish my wife, not to fail her. Then she instructed Robin to treat me well. My mother was not a woman of many words before, but this time she met us. She seemed to have countless things to instruct. I knew she was just worried about Robin. I answered her instructions one by one. Yes. Finally, my mother placed our hands one on top of the other, instructing, "You must live well in this life." I couldn't help my eyes turning red. I really wanted to tell her. If she left, I would have no other family in this world. But the words were stuck in my throat. Unable to utter anything, Robin very naturally patted my back, her gaze gentle, just like the young girl she once was. I was somewhat distracted. Leaving the ward, our hands were still clasped tightly. I felt so useless, realizing that I still yearned for this small warmth at my fingertips. Let's not get a divorce, okay? The absurd thought lingered in my mind. The phone rang abruptly. Robin let go of my hand. I vaguely looked up at her. The image of the young girl flashed and then disappeared. She walked aside to answer the phone. Bits of conversation reached my ears. They were all very ordinary conversations. The person on the other end of the line must have said something. She blushed and scolded. "You shameless person." Then she said loudly, "Wait a minute, I'm almost home." I looked at this woman and suddenly felt utterly unfamiliar. After she finished the call, she saw my distraction and frowned, asking, "Your complexion is terrible. Are you sick?" As she spoke, she reached out to touch my forehead. I instinctively dodged. Both of us froze. Her hand paused in midair. A little awkwardly. "The divorce, we can wait until your mother gets better to do it." My submerged consciousness finally sobered up. I nodded and said, "Okay." My mother's condition did not improve. Her memory was also problematic. Every now and then, she would say she wanted to see Robin. She played the role with me for 3 months, listening with me to the blessings that had been repeated many times. Every time Robin came to the hospital, Trafalgar Law would call her incessantly. Later, he simply followed her himself. The day they showed up holding hands, I completely lost my temper. I blocked their way, telling him to get lost as far away as possible. Robin explained to me, "He will wait on the side. He won't let your mother see him." I wouldn't compromise, mocking, "You won't die if you don't flaunt your affection for a bit." The habitually silent young man suddenly stepped forward. "Aren't you being too much? You are about to divorce. Stop trying to torment others." The more he spoke, the more agitated he became, almost getting physical with me. "She's been busy preparing for the art exhibition lately. So busy she doesn't have time to eat." I followed because I was worried. Robin held his hand, gently comforting him. "Don't be angry. You'll scare our baby." Trafalgar Law glared at me, then turned back to look at her. "But I feel sorry for you." Their loving intimacy made my stomach churn. I scoffed. "She and I are not divorced yet. The two of you being together is adultery. Do you know that? Or is he a paid service that requires a usage fee?" Robin froze, her eyes welling up. "Rorinoa Zorro. Are you going crazy?" Trafalgar Law gritted his teeth, looking at me angrily. A grown man saying such mean-spirited words out loud. No wonder your wife won't even look at you. I couldn't hold back anymore. "Today, either come with me or stay with him. Robin, you can only choose one." After that, I turned to look at the woman next to me, my eyes pleading. There was no suspense. Robin held her lover's hand and left together. That day, my mother's condition was actually quite good. I lied that Robin had an urgent matter, and she didn't probe further. But by the evening, she suddenly fell into a coma. The doctor directly issued a critical notice. When she woke up, she again said she wanted to see Robin. I frantically called her. It took a long time for her to answer. I hugged my head and squatted on the ground, asking, "Can you come over for a visit?" Robin answered bluntly, "It's too late." I was anxious. "My mother is about to pass away." Her voice was impatient. "I advise you not to joke like that." I was both astonished and angry. "Do you think I would joke with my mother's life?" She was silent for a moment, then said, It's raining tonight. I'm pregnant. Trafalgar Law won't let me go out. I threw away my pride, almost begging. Ask him to drive you over. Or I'll find a friend to drive over and pick you up. I guarantee your safety, okay? Our 10 years of feelings. Please help me this one last time. Robin sighed. I'll discuss it with him and see. Grasping a sliver of hope, I stammered. The fight earlier today was my fault, okay? As long as you come tonight, I'll agree to whatever you want, okay? Lightning flashed and thunder rolled, covering the sound of my shattered pride in the darkness. A low voice came from the other end of the line, containing a hint of desire. Robin let out an unnatural moan. Roranoa Zoro. Stop messing around. The phone was immediately hung up. I called back. No one answered. That day, until deep into the night, she did not appear. My mother realized something and asked very carefully, Are you and Robin having a fight? I tried to appear relaxed. No, she's on her way. Her eyebrows furrowed even tighter, telling me to call her. She wanted to say a few words to Robin, but the other party had turned off her phone. Afterward, my mother's consciousness gradually dissolved, muttering, Son, if you don't live well, how can I rest in peace? As dawn broke, she took her last breath. At this moment, she still tightly held my hand, unwilling to close her eyes. My world became ruins. I brought my mother's ashes back to the countryside for burial. Robin followed. She lowered her head, her face full of remorse. I'm sorry. I didn't know that night was real. I motioned for her to go outside. I said tiredly, Don't call her, Mom. You don't deserve it. Roranoa Zoro, can't you speak more kindly? Robin's voice softened. I just wanted to come and see if I could help with anything. I was cold. No need. Robin refused to leave, always following beside me. The funeral was not held on a large scale. Only neighbors in the village were invited to help. After everything was finished, and everyone dispersed, I finally calmed down. I said to Robin, Let's talk. She nodded. Okay. I said in a cold tone. Let's finalize the divorce procedures quickly. She frowned, diverting the topic. I want to explain what happened that night. I don't want to hear it. I interrupted her and continued. You are the guilty party. I want you to leave empty-handed. I know the assets in the house clearly. Don't play tricks. And don't negotiate terms with me. Otherwise, I will expose your scandalous affairs for everyone to know. Robin's eyes were full of pleading. Roranoa Zoro. The assets in the house were originally earned by you. Do you think I would fight with you over these things? I chuckled coldly. Knowing a person's face doesn't mean knowing their heart. She showed a look of disappointment. You weren't like this before. People change. I said. The Robin of the past wouldn't treat me like this either. The prolonged silence was interrupted by the ringing of a phone. It was Trafalgar Law calling. She walked outside to take the call. I directly slammed the door shut. She didn't come back either. That night, I lay on the bed in the old house and had a very long dream. I dreamed I was 22, disregarding everything to bring Robin home, telling my mother I wanted to marry her. Creditors came to our house, yelling and making a scene every day. My mother hid her in the room, instructing, Robin, absolutely do not go outside. Leave everything to Roranoa Zoro to handle. I dealt with them alone for several months, finally resolving everything before the new year. It snowed on New Year's Eve. I dragged my exhausted body back from elsewhere. Snow fell on me layer by layer. But I didn't feel cold. The moment I arrived home, Robin was the first to open the door, running out to embrace me. I stumbled a few steps, but still held her steadily. I will never leave you again. Robin was crying and smiling, looking very lovely. I was just about to open my mouth to reply, when the scene suddenly swirled. I stood by blankly, watching her rush into another person's arms in the snow, then deeply kiss his lips. Robin, Robin. I kept calling her name, but she couldn't hear anything. My vision suddenly went black, and I began to feel a sharp sense of falling, as if constantly falling into an abyss. I woke up the next day with a high fever. My consciousness became hazy. I lay at home like this for 2 days, with a sense of numbness. One day, I received a message from a business partner. The wine supply chain had a problem. resulting in a huge financial loss. I woke up with a start, quickly put on clothes and went out. Afterward, I went to the doctor myself, took medicine, and recovered. These 4 months had consumed too much of my energy. The business had a number of errors. I was too busy to be sad. The next time I heard Robin's name, it was news of her resounding fame in the art exhibition world. The master painter of the century, Tom, a painting master who had always been known for his strictness, praised her incessantly, calling her the long-hidden gem. The elderly man, who had been in seclusion, even publicly appeared at the art exhibition and announced to the public that Robin was the most talented young female painter he had ever met in his life. The art world was immediately shaken, and the media flocked to her. Online articles were overwhelming. She already had an outstanding appearance. Thanks to her looks, her level of attention even surpassed that of celebrity traffic stars. The keywords painter goddess Robin and art exhibition topped the search rankings. All her works were sold out in the blink of an eye. Someone even offered $10 million to buy the most prominent piece, The Prince, at the exhibition that day. Robin refused. Reporters smelled gossip, asking who the man in the painting was. She generously expressed her love. My college roommate Frankie forwarded this video to me, asking why Robin would say that. I tightly gripped the divorce papers I had just received, answering, "It's nothing. She fell in love with someone else. We plan to divorce." Frankie called me directly, angrily. "Weren't things fine 4 months ago? Doesn't she know how much suffering you endured in France for her?" I replied flatly, "Knowing won't change anything." For our 6th wedding anniversary, I wanted to prepare a special gift for Robin. I knew the person she idolized the most was a painter named Tom. This old gentleman had rarely appeared in public even when he was young. Now he was even more reclusive, leaving no trace. I exhausted all my methods and connections to get a piece of news that was hard to distinguish as true or false. Someone had seen him strolling and viewing street paintings in the Marais district of Paris. So, I used the excuse of a business trip and went to France alone. It was my first time abroad. Everything was unfamiliar. On the first day, my luggage was robbed. I hurried after them, but was led into a secluded alley. A group of street thugs gathered there. I couldn't fight so many people alone, and was pinned to the ground and beaten. Before losing consciousness, I heard someone shout something in French, and everyone immediately scattered and ran. I woke up in the hospital with only superficial injuries. It was Frankie who saved me. We were college roommates. A year after I got married, he went abroad, and we gradually lost contact. I didn't expect to meet again this way. He helped me a lot, taking care of me during my injury. He asked me, "Didn't you tell Robin?" I shook my head. During that time, Robin often locked herself in the painting room, seemingly at a very critical stage. I didn't want her to worry. As soon as my injury was slightly better, I hurried out. Every day I went to the Marais district to stake out. Actually, I didn't have much hope of finding the master painter Tom. I just didn't want to give up any possibility. Frankie knew the purpose of my trip. His eyes wide, looking at me like an idiot. Then, he laughed exaggeratedly at me. "You just keep spoiling your wife. You're going to spoil her rotten someday." I glared at him, and we wrestled for a while. Just like back in college, I made a deal with a street vendor in the Marais district, renting his painting stall. I selected a few of Robin's paintings from different periods and placed them in the most visible spot. Every day I prayed for the goddess of luck to visit. It was winter at the time, except for sleeping. I spent the rest of the time standing outside exposed to the cold wind. So cold that my ears felt numb. Frankie bought me medicine while grumbling, "You're asking for trouble." After 3 weeks in France, it was getting close to Valentine's Day, and I planned to return home. This trip abroad was indeed too impulsive. Not finding the person was to be expected. I thought, I'll wait until I have more solid news next time before acting. The surprise quietly happened nonetheless. On the last day, as I was preparing to pack up, the master painter Tom appeared. And at first glance, he fell in love with the painting Robin drew when she was 18. He smiled and asked me, "Who is the artist of this painting?" I proudly said Robin's name. He pointed to the "Not for Sale" label pasted next to the painting, and asked again, "Not for sale?" I nodded. "This is my personal collection." "Then why display it?" I said. "I hope more people can see this wonderful artist." He pondered, looking at the painting for a long time, finally smiled and left. I had researched this painter's personality. He was famously known as a talent magnet, having discovered quite a few unknown artists in the past, who have now become industry leaders. I knew Robin's opportunity had arrived. Everything went much smoother than I had thought. I thought, a talented person is bound to shine. I was genuinely happy for Robin. She had taken one step closer to her dream. On our wedding anniversary, I lied to Robin that I was still in France, wanting to surprise her. But her reaction was very slight. She only said one sentence. "I know." I was a little sad at first. But when I got on the plane, seeing her post a sentence on her social media, "Longing separated by mountains and rivers," the gloom in my heart immediately vanished. On the way back, I was still fantasizing about our beautiful future. How ironic, her longing had actually belonged to someone else for a long time. "Don't you feel unwilling?" Frankie asked me. I answered very calmly. "Of course I do. But what's more important now is to live my own life well." He let out a sigh of relief. "Rorinoa Zorro. Sometimes you're frighteningly rational." I smiled. "Thanks for the compliment." Hanging up the phone, the surroundings returned to silence. I opened that video again to watch. Robin smiled gently and affectionately in front of the camera. She said that young man was the greatest love of her life. Sure enough, I still felt uncomfortable inside. I made a phone call, telling Robin that the income from the art exhibition was also marital property, and should belong to me upon divorce. She scoffed at me but agreed. It seemed she was genuinely eager to marry her heart's desire. I tried to view that trip to France as an investment. Now that I'd harvested a large sum of money, it wasn't a total loss. Thinking this way, I gradually made peace with myself. Money really is a good thing. That day, I opened the best bottle of wine for myself, drinking until midnight. The next morning, I was awakened by a phone call. The ringing sound seemed far and near. Opening the door, I stumbled out to open the door, seeing Frankie carrying luggage, his face scowling. "Such a huge thing happened. And you didn't say a word to me. What a terrible friend." I was stunned in place. He spread his arms and smiled at me. "Brother, I'm here to keep you company." I hugged Frankie, moved. "You really are a good brother." But the facts proved I was happy too soon. For a man about to divorce, a man in love is indeed a poison. In the evening, I waited for him to team up for a game. Frankie dawdled for a long time, before reluctantly hanging up the video call with his girlfriend. I strangled his neck, flaunting affection in front of me. "Isn't that a little too much?" He smiled shamelessly. "I call this fighting fire with fire." I genuinely admired Frankie. Having been so deeply hurt, he could still live so freely. "Do you regret loving Zemila?" The moment the words were asked, I regretted it. Hearing that name, Frankie didn't show too much emotion, only saying, "A relationship, just because it doesn't end well, doesn't mean it has to be considered a tragedy." I seriously contemplated this sentence. I thought, there's no need to resent the Robin of 18 because of the Robin of 28. The girl who once amazed time is just no longer there. I will accept and gradually let go. A month later, Robin and I received the divorce certificate. I bought a vineyard in Montmartre, Paris, planning to go to France to learn winemaking on my own. Frankie had settled there, and was also very welcoming of me going over. The day I left the country, Robin and Trafalgar Law held a luxurious wedding. The bride wore a designer wedding dress, sparkling with jewels all over her body. I remembered when we got married years ago. We were truly poor. The wedding dress was just a small white dress bought for $50. The bouquet was a poinsettia branch plucked from the side of the road. Simple and rustic, just like our love at that time. The past gradually drifted away with the wind. Clouds scattered, scenery changed, and people were no longer the same. I boarded the plane, heading toward a new life. My life gradually became peaceful. I thought I would have no more interactions with Robin. But a year later, when I returned to the countryside to visit the grave, I ran into her again. Robin held a bouquet of white chrysanthemums, standing in front of my mother's grave. Seeing me, she had a moment of surprise, her voice hoarse as she called, "Rorinoa Zoro." I asked in a low voice, "What are you doing here?" She walked a few steps closer to me, answering hurriedly, "I thought I might run into you here. You sold the house. Changed your phone number too. I couldn't find you at all." I widened the distance between us, asking coldly, "Is there something you need?" The wind blew up some fine dust. She might have gotten dust in her eyes, which began to turn slightly red again. "I just wanted to find you to talk." I felt like I heard the biggest joke in the world. "Robin, you are married and have a child now. Go away, don't be an eyesore in front of my parents' graves." She ignored me, standing still, unmoving. I couldn't drive her away, so I simply ignored her. "I want to explain what happened the night your mother passed away," Robin muttered, not caring whether I wanted to listen or not. "I originally intended to go out." He stopped me, and we accidentally caused a threatened miscarriage. I gave a perfunctory reply. Robin lowered her head, her voice sorrowful. "Rorinoa Zoro. I had a miscarriage that night." My hand, arranging the offerings, paused slightly, but I still didn't say anything to her. After a while, she suddenly spoke again. "If I had come that night, would you not hate me so much?" I looked up, meeting her gaze. The sadness in it was clearly visible. I didn't understand what meaning this expression held now. I quickly retracted my gaze, pretending not to see anything. I sat down in front of my parents' graves, reporting my current situation to them, telling them that I was living very well now. After everything was finished, going down the mountain, Robin still followed me. She talked a lot. She said we once admired paintings on the village hillside together, birds in the forest, clouds in the sky. She remembered it all. But Robin, the flowers on the hillside no longer bloom. The birds in the forest have flown away. Even the clouds in the sky no longer have their original shape. Everything has changed. The old house was not cleaned. It was uninhabitable. I stayed one night at an inn in the town, then flew straight back to France. The reunion with Robin didn't cause too many ripples in my heart. Just in time, Frankie established his own fashion design brand and became busy. My vineyard had hired people to work, so I was usually quite idle. I spent the whole day in the studio helping him. I joked. We both studied business. Now one is doing fashion, and one is doing wine. We really didn't stick to our professional fields. Frankie shook his finger. No, no, no. Life is a process of gradually discovering oneself. During the conversation, I asked him, "When did you become interested in fashion design?" Frankie took a bite of a hamburger. "When you and Robin got married," he said. "There's something you still don't know. Do you remember the formal wear you two wore at the wedding? The patterns were exquisite, but the price was unbelievably cheap. You still thought I asked friends to help make it, right?" I nodded. He continued. "Actually, Robin was saving money, only buying the simplest white dress and suit. But she didn't want you to feel awkward, so she drew the pattern herself, and then asked my designer friend for advice, and embroidered the pattern little by little. And the veil was also made by her. I didn't even know she knew how to sew. She didn't know at first. But that friend of mine was very skilled. And Robin is also smart, learning in just a few days. She was afraid you would blame yourself, so she didn't let me tell you." Frankie went on. "I was only helping out then. But the moment I saw you two wearing them, I still felt incredibly accomplished inside." Our thoughts drifted back to the past together. He recalled. "On the wedding day, you lifted Robin's veil. Her tearful, touched expression when she saw your face. I still remember clearly. I felt a mix of emotions, chuckling softly. At that time, Robin truly loved me." Frankie thought for a moment, then said, "Actually, I saw Robin 2 days ago." I had no major reaction, calmly saying, "Paris is the capital of art. She's a painter, it's normal for her to be here." He shook his head. "I think she came to find you. That night you forgot something at my place. I went to look for you, and happened to see Robin following behind you, watching from a distance. Maybe I mistook the person. I joked. Frankie was annoyed. Do you think I'm blind? I even spoke to her for a few words. I deliberately told her about you coming to Paris. To find the master painter Tom. We can't do good deeds without leaving a name. I remembered this. And gave him a thumbs up. Frankie sighed. After hearing it, she froze, looking distracted. A little pitiful. I paused for a moment, saying, "It has nothing to do with me anymore. My vineyard has a very capable girl, who takes excellent care of my grapes. Thanks to her, the new batch of wine is of very high quality. I received a large order. It was such a coincidence. The client ordered the wine for a party, inviting many famous figures in the art world. Robin was among them. When I went to deliver the wine, I ran into her in Trafalgar Law. Their state was very strange. They spoke little, unlike a newly married couple. I didn't linger long. Signed the order, and left. Robin saw me and followed me out. Trafalgar Law didn't have much of a reaction. I was walking fast. Robin ran up and grabbed my hand. The moment our skin touched, she quickly let go again. I'm sorry. Robin, what do you want? Rorinoa Zorro. She stuttered. I lost my patience. She seemed to suddenly remember something. Her lifeless eyes suddenly lit up. I want to paint a French landscape painting. Can you give me a chance? Afraid I would refuse. She added. Just name your conditions. I replied. I'm not short on money. Her entire body slumped. Her voice almost pleading. Rorinoa Zorro, can you give me a chance to compensate you? I looked at her coldly. Compensate for what? I already know about the Tom matter. I was calm. Being chosen by him is due to your talent. I've also taken your money. We owe each other nothing. Robin lowered her head, whispering. Why didn't you tell me then? I sneered. Would telling you have made any difference? The sadness in the depths of her eyes was obvious, she stubbornly said. We might not have reached this point today. I only felt sarcasm. Robin, wake up. We were together for so many years. The foolish things I did for you weren't just this one. Your heart was no longer with me then. Anything I said or did would have been useless. Moreover, I don't need your momentary emotion. Perhaps I had once fantasized about a scene like this. The unfaithful person waking up, filled with deep remorse, but truly reaching this moment. I didn't feel too much satisfaction. How did that stunningly beautiful girl become the way she is today? I paused for a moment, serious. Robin, stop looking for excuses. Otherwise, I will look down on you. Her entire body stiffened, her face full of agony. Live well the path you chose. After speaking, I didn't look at her again, turning my back and walking away without looking back. That night, Frankie worked overtime, asking me to buy him a late-night snack. It was already pitch black. His studio was in a secluded location, and 2 streetlights on the necessary path were broken. The entire small road was dark and quiet. 2 men holding knives suddenly rushed out from the roadside, aggressively robbing me of all my possessions. I wasn't carrying much money. After they searched my pockets, they menacingly said a few more words to me. Their French pronunciation was poor. I didn't understand much. They swung their fists to strike. I struggled with them. In the chaos, a shadow swiftly rushed forward, hitting one of the robbers on the head with a rock. The robber holding the knife fiercely counterattacked, stabbing the person twice, then fled in panic. Everything happened too quickly. When I reacted, I only saw Robin fall, covered in blood. I took her to the hospital. The doctor said she was stabbed in the abdomen. It wasn't a vital spot. But when she blocked the knife with her hand, the tendon in her right hand was severed, and she might not be able to paint again. She lay in the hospital bed, her complexion pale. Seeing me, the first thing she did was ask if I was hurt. I shook my head. My eyebrows furrowed even tighter. She smiled to comfort me. Don't worry, I'm not seriously injured. I hesitated for a long time, but still told her everything. The smile on Robin's face stiffened for a moment. Then, as if deceiving herself, she suddenly brightened. It's okay. It's good that you're fine. But she was not a good actress after all. She turned her face away from me, her whole body trembling. I tried to comfort her. The doctor didn't say there's absolutely no hope. And even if your right hand isn't functional, You can try your left. There will always be a way. She suddenly turned back, her eyes red, asking, Rorinoa Zorro, if I divorce Trafalgar Law, can we? I interrupted her, saying directly, Robin, there will be no more us. Get good rest and don't think about other things. The despair in the depths of Robin's eyes was clearly visible. With tears welling up, she pleaded humbly, At least tonight, can you stay? I calmly replied, The person who should be with you right now is Trafalgar Law, not me. It was Trafalgar Law who didn't show up that night. In the end, I still couldn't leave decisively. When Robin was in surgery, I used her phone to call Trafalgar Law. Unfortunately, no one answered. Then I sent a message, which also received no reply. In the middle of the night, she developed a slight fever, and even vomited blood. The doctor checked and said she had stomach cancer. It was not yet terminal, and there was hope for recovery with active treatment. I didn't understand why she was living so miserably now that she had money and status. But I didn't ask anything. In the afternoon the next day, Trafalgar Law arrived. He was well dressed and in high spirits. He only clung to the doctor, asking if Robin's hand could still paint. He didn't even notice my presence. I said goodbye to Robin. Get well soon. I'm leaving. She didn't say anything. Lying on the hospital bed, her eyes blank, after Robin's right hand was crippled and she could no longer paint. The value of all her works soared again. News spread that the painting, The Prince, the work that made her famous overnight, would be publicly auctioned, quickly causing controversy. Previously, shortly after Robin expressed her love at the art exhibition, she married the male subject in the painting, which was once praised by netizens as a beautiful love story. This painting also became more priceless. Due to this romantic love story, it was finally bought by a collector for an astonishingly high price of $50 million. But not long after, the situation took an unexpected turn. Trafalgar Law sold fake paintings, and Robin cheated in marriage. Two keywords were simultaneously trending at the top of the search rankings. Robin held a press conference, publicly announcing that the original version of The Prince had been destroyed, and the sold piece was a forgery made by Trafalgar Law. She admitted in front of the camera that the romantic love story behind The Prince was actually an ugly marital affair. She had abandoned her husband of 10 years, whom she loved, when she achieved fame and success. Netizens were in an uproar, unanimously condemning the wicked woman and scoundrel man. Due to Robin's accusation, the police intervened to investigate the sale of fake paintings. Not long after, Trafalgar Law was arrested, suspected of the crime of manufacturing and selling fake and shoddy goods. Due to the large amount of money involved, he would face life imprisonment. From then on, Robin also disappeared without a trace. My life was like the wild grass by the dike, the moon on the branches, free and peaceful, time flowing gently. The wine vineyard business became increasingly prosperous. Half a year later, I met a strange customer, a 16-year-old French girl. She came to buy wine every few days, specifically wanting the wine personally brewed by me. And she had a special request. She asked me to teach her Spanish, one sentence at a time. She would carefully record my words with a voice recorder. Sometimes they were simple greetings. For example, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Sometimes they were other sentences. On Valentine's Day, she came again to buy wine, asking me to say the phrase, I love you. At that time, I had entered a new relationship with the girl who had taken excellent care of my farm. I complied with the customer's request. After recording the sentence, I love you, she suddenly moved closer, adding a sentence, I love you too. I indulged her, rubbing her head, then turned to apologize to my girlfriend. She pursed her lips, a little hesitant, but finally didn't say anything, took the wine, and left. That night, I received a strange phone call. The person on the other end said nothing, just prolonged silence. I thought it might be a wrong number. Just as my girlfriend called me for dinner, I hung up. Since then, that girl never came to my vineyard again. Robin's name reappeared in the public eye. Not long after Valentine's Day, I looked at the keyword on the search rankings. Robin passed away. I was stunned for a long time. The news said her body was found in an old farm in France. At this time, she was consumed by illness and poor. The only relic was a painting named The Greatest Love. The main characters were a newly married couple in wedding attire. The bride wore a white dress, holding a bouquet of poinsettia flowers. The groom gently embraced the bride. Both their faces were obscured by the veil, hazy and indistinct. Industry experts all evaluated it as the best work of Robin's life. Netizens, however, were more concerned with whether the female painter was reminiscing about an ex-lover or had found a new soulmate. I looked at the flowers in the bride's hand, memories rushing back to the past. The year I married Robin. The poinsettia flowers bloomed earlier than usual. I picked some, tied them into a bouquet with a ribbon. She asked me why it wasn't roses. I smiled mysteriously. Because I like the meaning of the poinsettia flower. From Robin's perspective, I married the man I fell in love with at first sight when I was young. I promised him a lifetime of never leaving each other. Life after marriage was poor, but still sweet. When did things start to go wrong? Thinking back now, perhaps it was when we lost our first child. That was the first time I deeply felt the powerlessness of life. After that incident, he worked even more desperately. Working every day, with only money in his eyes. My paintings weren't selling. He opened up another avenue, using his connections to help me secure opportunities for commercial commissions. It was like given homework in school. I just had to paint according to the client's requirements. Each piece lacked its own soul and thought. All that mattered was satisfying the client. I didn't like it, but it was an opportunity he had strived for. I should cherish it. Our life was indeed gradually getting better. I thought that enough money was sufficient. But he was always insatiable. Exhausted every day, rushing around. So busy he didn't have time to exchange a few more words with me. He would introduce business friends to me, skillfully raising a glass to them. All you CEOs, please take care of us in the future. Those people, out of respect, would spend a lot of money to buy my paintings. Then mockingly say, Ms. Robin has a good husband. To be honest, I hated that subservient look of his. I felt increasingly stifled, even developing a disgust for my own paintings. Later, I met Trafalgar Law. He quietly stayed by my side, watching me paint, very much like Roronoa Zorro of the past. He understood me and cherished my paintings. He wouldn't just care about whether they could be sold for a high price. My bleak days suddenly gained a streak of color, and I gradually rediscovered my initial vitality and passion for painting. I admit I couldn't restrain the flutter in my heart. I thought this pure and innocent young man was my destined lover, and Roronoa Zorro and I were a mistake from the beginning. On our 6th wedding anniversary, Roronoa Zorro discovered our relationship. I also made my decision. After leaving Roronoa Zorro, I felt very relieved. What surprised me even more was that Tom, the painter I worshipped the most, actually took the initiative to contact me, wanting to meet me. He told me that he accidentally saw my painting at a street painting stall in France, and greatly appreciated my talent. That painting depicted a rustic small village, with a young man standing on a hillside. Even though it was only a back view, it was vivid enough. It was the work I painted when I was 18, and gave to Roronoa Zorro. He treasured it like a priceless gem at the time. But now he must have hastily sold it when he was short of money. He is like that. Money is more important than feelings. It doesn't matter. We're about to divorce anyway. Under the recommendation of the master painter Tom, I successfully held an art exhibition. I succeeded, although Roronoa Zorro forced me to leave empty-handed. For me now, earning money is a trivial matter, easy as turning my hand over. My lover and I held a luxurious wedding. I thought this was the life I wanted. But things gradually became strange. I often dreamed of Roronoa Zorro. Sometimes I would wake up in the middle of the night, looking at the man beside me, and have a sense of unreality. My heart felt empty. I started painting intensely, locking myself in the painting room all day. I used to do this often. And Roronoa Zorro would prepare all 3 meals for me. Even when he was on a distant business trip, he wouldn't forget to call to supervise me to eat and sleep on time. But Trafalgar Law wouldn't care about these things. After we got married, he rarely spent time discussing paintings with me. With the slightest complaint, he would slam the door and leave. I began to be unable to suppress my longing for Roronoa Zoro. When eating at a luxurious restaurant with Trafalgar Law, I would recall the days when Roronoa Zoro and I huddled in the rented house, sharing a single meat bun. When buying all sorts of expensive gifts for Trafalgar Law, I would recall our first wedding anniversary. Roronoa Zoro secretly saved money for a long time, buying me a Dior lipstick and a set of Estée Lauder skincare products. I scolded him for being wasteful, while tears welled up from being touched. Then I recalled the divorce, when I called him a man who only had money in his eyes. I was suddenly struck by lightning. Driven by a strange impulse, I called Roronoa Zoro. The number no longer existed. I secretly went to our old house. The place had changed owners. I looked at the happy and harmonious family in the house, and for a moment, I thought I might have lost the seemingly easy happiness. I hurriedly shook my head, chasing the thought away. I told myself, my choice is not wrong, and cannot be wrong. So I treated Trafalgar Law doubly well. But life is so ironic. Trafalgar Law cheated. His true self was far from what I had imagined. He would send suggestive photos to other women late at night, intimately calling the other party wife. Roronoa Zoro. So this is what it feels like to be betrayed by someone else. I was truly awful before. Trafalgar Law threatened me that if I divorced him, he would harass me relentlessly. I couldn't fight back. 1 year into the marriage, our life felt like it had fallen into a tomb. I frequently returned to Roronoa Zoro's hometown, believing that no matter where he was, he would eventually return here. Perhaps one day we would meet. Near the end of the year, we truly reunited. His complexion was very good, his demeanor open and his spirits high. Away from me, he was living very well. He talked about the vineyard in France in front of his parents' graves. I secretly kept it in my heart. I started frequently flying to that foreign country, just to secretly glance at him. Once, meeting Frankie after a long time, I learned a truth. It turned out that behind my success was his sincere and unreserved sacrifice. He had actually never changed. The one who changed was me. In the flow of time, I had forgotten the initial love and promise. I once truly had a very, very good love, but I lost it. This realization broke my heart. I still decided to divorce Trafalgar Law. He made a demand, wanting 10 times the amount Roronoa Zoro had initially given. I agreed. I just needed some time. We were both invited to attend an art exhibition in France. At the gala, I ran into Roronoa Zoro again. I couldn't control myself and wanted to get close to him. That night he was in danger. I rushed up to save him without a second thought. He took me to the hospital and worried about me. That was good. If losing an arm could bring Roronoa Zoro back, I wouldn't complain one bit. But he wouldn't give me that chance. Heaven knows how much I wanted to hold on to him when he left. But he walked too fast. The moment he turned his back, I couldn't even grasp the corner of his clothing. I thought this was my retribution. Roronoa Zoro would find someone 1,000 times better than me later, while I would never find anyone better than him again. After returning home, I was sick for a long time. During my hospital stay, Trafalgar Law didn't visit once. I heard that the painting, The Prince, was auctioned off for a sky-high price. But that painting was clearly destroyed by me. The only explanation was that someone had forged it. I went home to confront Trafalgar Law. But instead, I found 2 bodies intertwined intimately in the room. It turned out that our marriage couldn't even endure longer than I had imagined. Trafalgar Law had a longtime girlfriend. He was addicted to gambling and owed a lot of money to loan sharks. He married me simply for money. He made a condition with me. My right hand was crippled, which meant losing my tool for earning money. As long as I kept quiet, the money from the painting sale could be split. Trafalgar Law told me that he truly loved that other girl, but he owed too much money, and if he couldn't pay it back, he would die. It turned out he also had a heart, but this heart was given to someone else. He could even take risks for the other person. How hateful and pitiful. I held a press conference. Both he and I had to pay the price for our actions. The day he was sentenced, we divorced. My assets had already been completely taken by him. I was once again left with nothing. I started trying to paint with my left hand. The quality of the works was far inferior to before, but selling them on the sidewalk could still earn a little money. I saved up for half a year to afford the trip to France. The doctor said my stomach cancer had progressed to the terminal stage, and I didn't have long to live. If possible, I wanted to be a little closer to Roanoa Zorro. When death came, I rented an old farm near Roanoa Zorro's estate. Next door lived a kind couple who had a lovely daughter. I often asked the little girl to help me buy wine from Roanoa Zorro's place. Each time, she helped me record one sentence. I truly wanted to hear his voice so much. The wine he brewed was my medicine. In a drunken haze, it helped me temporarily forget the gnawing pain. I frequently dreamed of Roanoa Zorro. He wore a crisp suit, looking at me with gentle eyes, saying, "Robin, we are married." When I woke up, the deeply ingrained longing would start to torment me again. I poured everything into my painting. It turned out, I could still paint Roanoa Zorro beautifully even with my left hand. After all, when I was young, I had sketched his eyes and eyebrows countless times. I painted myself next to him, and named the painting, "The Greatest Love." But Roanoa Zorro's gaze looked straight at me, making my heart panic. He must hate these two words. I used oil paint to add a veil, covering our faces, and selfishly added these two words to the painting. "If there is a next life, I will definitely not let go of you." I curled up next to the painting, letting loneliness and despair swallow me. In a flash, it was Valentine's Day. My body had reached its limit. I realized I was about to die. Perhaps I could be willful one last time? I asked the little neighbor girl to help me record the sentence, "I love you." But the little girl told me the recording wasn't successful. What a pity. At night, I couldn't help but call Roanoa Zorro. What should I say? Before I could even prepare to speak, I heard a woman's voice. She cooed his name. Roanoa Zorro's reply had a hint of indulgence. That was a lifelike oil painting. Under the gentle moonlight, the lake surface reflecting a sparkling light, the young man in white stood against the wind, holding fresh flowers, smiling beautifully, captivating the world. I understood that I had finally lost him completely. The phone was hung up by Roanoa Zorro. I vomited a mouthful of blood. The moment before my eyes were completely shrouded in darkness. I saw the bride in the painting lift her veil, looking at the groom beside her. He held a branch of poinsettia flowers in his hand. The bride asked, "Why not roses?" He smiled mysteriously. "Because I like the meaning of the poinsettia flower." I suddenly remembered telling Roanoa Zorro that I liked poinsettia flowers the most, because their meaning represented the sincere words of love. Cherish the person beside you and the happiness before your eyes.